Looks like you guys can hear me. We are taking off. All right, great. Woo! Happy Wednesday, everybody. My name is Tammy Workman-Lopez, and I come on here each and every Wednesday to help us stay focused, help us stay on track. It's Mindset Reset with Coach TammyStar. And I pick whatever topics you guys ask me questions about. And so this topic was more about how do I step into my potential? And the biggest thing is there's negative things that are holding you back, because if you allowed yourself to take a look at who you are, you'd realize you are so amazing. You'd realize that there's no potential you have to step into because you are it. You are it. Now you could choose, okay, I'm not feeling like it right now. And then you think about what is it I want to step into? So thinking about your future, right? What is that future end result that I want to have? Now, today is just going to be a few minutes to give you some tips and tools. As this is coming up and you're getting questions, please let me know what those questions are. Let me know what those concerns are. Let me know if you're like, that doesn't make any sense, and you feel like you have these hesitations and reluctances. You're feeling cynical. I don't care. It's all good. It's all going to help you grow as you're asking these questions. And we're going to keep directing you to what is it that you are wanting to create. Now, here's a big thing to keep in mind. Most of us are focused on what we don't want because we think if we stay focused on that, then we won't get it. I don't want to have somebody in my life like this. I don't want to have troubles in my business. I don't want to have people who are argumentative in my team. I don't want to have, and we stay focused on that thinking it's going to get us to what we want. But when we're focused in this direction on what we don't want, and the direction of what we do want is over there, we're not getting there. So it's really important to pay attention to where is your focus, number one. If your focus is on what you don't want, you are creating more of that. You are drawing yourself to that direction. So keep that in mind, write that down. Notice what are many of the things you feel afraid of or challenged by, those things you don't want, write them down. And then connect back with me. Well, it was this that I don't want, this I don't want. How do I not focus on that? Because I feel like if I'm not focused on it, I'm going to make it happen. Well, we can work on that together. You can allow yourself to take a look at what it is you do want and get real clear on that. And we could take the stuff that you don't want to help create what you do want. I don't want to have an argumentative partner in my personal life or in my business. What do I want? I want respect. I want communication. I want teamwork. I want a level of understanding and loyalty. And so you're able to take a look at, this is what I do want, and you're moving toward it. Now, another aspect of what I realized that many that I work with do not know how to do is stop and take a look at the red flags that have been in their life. And they don't know how to do it, not because they don't know how to do it, but because so many of those red flags are on a subconscious level. And if you're not aware of it, you can't see it. Instead, what we end up doing without meaning to, so I'll give you an example. If I was raised in a particular way where I didn't really have parents available, whether it's because of work or whatever it is, if you think they're an absolutely magnificent parent, they were wonderful, but they had to work and they weren't that available. Or if they're a parent who's just not emotionally available, just not attached, not really a wonderful parent at all, but still the same result, you weren't available. A child is going to come to an understanding that they have to take care of themselves. Love means I have to take care of myself. Love means I really can't depend on anybody. Love means that, somebody says they're going to be there, but they're going to break their promises because stuff's going to happen, right? Love means that there's other stuff more important than relationship. Love means that there's going to be sacrifice, all this stuff, right? Now, when I mean sacrifice, like people aren't going to be there for me, sacrifice like there's never enough money, sacrifice like there's never enough anything, or sacrifice meaning if you want your business to thrive, then family has to be sacrificed. If you want your family to thrive, then business has to be sacrificed. Ideas like that come up because children take things very literally. They can't see all the details because they have a child mind yet. So what happens is we develop these core ideas and core beliefs at a young age, just like we're developing our language. So from 0 to 7 or 9, depending on the development of the child. But 0 to 9, if you think about it, as much as children are smart, they're just still kids. They don't really have an understanding or an experience of the world yet. So the beliefs they're going to get aren't going to be that logical. And now grow up 10 years, you're in your teens, 20 years, and you start to see patterns. Like, oh man, I keep choosing the same pattern with relationships, or I keep choosing the same pattern with business, or I keep choosing the same pattern in my parenting, or I keep choosing the same pattern in how I believe about myself. We really can't see them. And there's dozens and dozens of them. But we're able to take a look at it based on results. Now, as you're trying to do it, because you're in it, right? I have to have people to help me because when I'm in it, I can't see the same stuff they can see. My view is so different. So also getting feedback from others. Now, if you don't have the healthiest people in your life, don't get it from them. You might be able to remember some stuff they said, you can jot that down, but don't specifically go ask them for feedback because if they're not kind, they're just going to tear you down. But what I'm talking about is people that have been on the outskirts of that mess, right? If there's any mess, allow yourself to you've seen our relationship. What do you think? You've seen how I am in business. What do you think? You've seen how this, what do you think? And even though you might not agree, and even though you might not want their advice, go ahead and jot it down. So at least you have different thoughts from different people, because that helps us to take a look at the full picture and not just our picture, because sometimes our picture is really limited by our filters, right? This is what we see, and this is what we understand. And there's this whole other view out here that other people can start to give you. Now, when I'm working with clients, even that information, they can't interpret it well because they still have their own filters, right? That person said that because they don't like me, or that person said that because they're jealous of me, or that person said that because they have all these issues. And all of that may be 100% true. But when you have different filters, right? Like somebody coming in who's neutral about the whole thing and can kind of look at everything, then they can see a bigger picture and help you with those things. So being able to get feedback, as well as, like I'm talking about, from a coach, right? Or even if it's more traumatic and you need a therapist, whatever it looks like, getting that feedback from somebody who is healthy. I will tell you, there are coaches who are not healthy and there are therapists who are not healthy. So make sure that you shop around. I've even had them myself. So I'm not saying it to be demeaning or anything like that, but sometimes people aren't doing their own work and they can get in the way, right? I've had clients who their therapists told them terrible things about their spouse. Yeah, your spouse is terrible. They're doing this. And then they would end up dating them. I'm like, are you kidding? Like that happened? Yeah, they ended up dating my husband, and my husband and I were in this thing. So instead of helping them work it out, it became inappropriate. And I'm not putting therapists down. I'm not putting coaches down. I'm just saying people are people, right? My pastor ended up, I joke and say he was depasteurized, but I had all the faith in the world, and he ended up cheating on his wife for many years, and the whole world found out, and then they threw him out of the church and all this stuff, and it just broke my heart because I loved his teachings. I still wanted to hear his teachings, but it all disappeared. And I say that not to be judgmental or whatever, but just to be reminded we're all humans. And so just because there might be not a healthy therapist or there might be not a healthy coach, that doesn't mean there's not a whole bunch of others who can help you. So do not give up on shopping around and getting healthy feedback and healthy support for yourself. So those are just a few tips so far. Another big piece that I wanted to share with you is how you're thinking about yourself. It's super important. You're going to see different responses of things that you're doing that say that you're not holding yourself as valuable. And I wanted to share with you a couple of them because these are kind of like ones that I see often with my clients. So a big one is basically, let's say you may not know you're right, or you know you're right, but either way, you're wanting to address your thoughts and address your opinions. But you might say things like, well, I know this is stupid, but, and then you say what your thoughts are. Or you might say, well, I just wanted to, right? Like, oh, well, it's nothing. You don't have to pay attention, right? or even not doing it. Instead, you think to yourself, well, my idea is not that important. It's not that smart. They already know what they want. They don't need my advice. They all, putting yourself down. That's not good. You wouldn't do that to someone else. Allow yourself to practice how you would treat someone else. And if you are asking yourself, wait a second, I wouldn't treat somebody else like that. How would I treat them instead? And that's where you need to follow through. I would say this to them. I would say that to them. I would treat them like this. I would guide them like that. Then you get to treat yourself like that. You get to be reminded that your thoughts, where you're thinking, I've got to beat myself up, I've got to criticize myself, I've got to be hard on myself, otherwise I won't be motivated. Question that belief. Wait a second. I get up, I take care of myself, I do the things I need to do, I have a good life, I have money coming in. None of that may be exactly the way you want it to be, but if you've got that stuff happening, you don't need to be criticized to be motivated, because look what you're doing. Look at where you're at. Look at the difference you're making in people's lives in some way or another. And you might say, oh, well, I'm not. Don't degrade yourself. You are living your life. You are doing these things. You get to value you just like you would speak and value to somebody else. Begin to practice that, stepping into your worth. It allows you to begin opening up to new ideas. Wait a second. If I deserve this care, I've been treating myself unkindly all this time. So then I also deserve forgiveness, because when I look back over my life, I've not been doing this to hurt myself. I was doing this to motivate myself. I was doing this to make sure even if I stopped myself from things, I didn't want to get hurt. I didn't want to damage my life or damage a relationship. So you were doing it out of making sure you were okay. And that's healthy, to be okay and to be safe. The problem is oftentimes we're doing it in an unhealthy way. And then we're in this thing where we think we're safe, we think we're okay, but it's just this looping pattern we don't know how to get out of. And so helping yourself to go through these new things, getting that support to help you to do it, is absolutely essential. I could not have done any of the work that I've done on my own, right? And I like to say and be reminded, you didn't learn to eat on your own. You didn't learn to walk on your own. You didn't even learn to go to the bathroom on your own, right? We had to be taught how to use the toilet. We had to be taught how to learn how to do all these different steps so your body didn't get sick and get infected. All of those things, every step of the way, you've been taught. Everything that you know came from somebody else. Now, you might have had really good ideas and stuff, and you might have been creative. You might even be somebody who develops a new patent. But most of your learning came from someone else. So you're not doing life on your own, even if you believe that. So it's important to be able to acknowledge that we learn and we work with others. Even your job is there because you are doing something to benefit others. That's just how it works. And so being okay to know that you can ask for help, being okay to know that your voice is important, your thoughts are important, and stop apologizing. Now, of course, if you've done something, then yes, apologize, and apologize in a way that you're not going to do that again, not just apologize to be like, okay, let's make this better, and apologize, but not mean it. Or you mean the words, but not the actions. This kind of apologizing is things like, oh, I'm so sorry I did this. I'm so sorry I did that. Oh, I'm so sorry to bother you. Oh, I'm so sorry to ask you for help. Notice that you are basically apologizing for existing. You don't need to do that. And notice if you're doing that. That's so unkind. Looking at somebody else and saying to them, you're just a burden on the world. People don't want to help you. They don't have time to help you. They don't have time to listen to you. So you better apologize, right? Like that's what you're telling you. So the more you catch those things, the more you can own and step into your unique being, the more you can ask yourself, what is it that I think? And what is it that I want? And what is it that I deserve? And really allow that. I deserve to be healthy. I deserve to be wealthy. I deserve to be making a difference in the world. I deserve for the world to make a difference in my life. really stepping into that and owning that. And if any of these things I'm saying, you're like, yeah, I hear that, but I don't know how, it's not true for me, then you definitely want to get support. If you're hearing, yeah, you're absolutely right. And how do I do that? You want to get support. If you're like, oh, I'm already doing that, but I want to level it up, you want to get support. We're all in that boat where we get to grow. And so continue to practice that, giving yourself the support that you need and that you deserve. You get to have it. And oftentimes it's just about skills. There's skills that I teach my clients. I teach communication and how to listen and how to speak and how to set boundaries and how to ask for what you want. Sometimes we can be very abrasive and rude about it. Sometimes we could be so shut down, we can't even get it out of our mouths. So it just depends on where you're coming from. Now, notice if you're somebody who's like, I do ask for what I want and no one listens. People don't hear me. People don't respect me. Maybe you're not being clear. Maybe you're talking a lot. Sometimes people who don't feel heard don't stop talking. So it's really important to allow yourself to notice those things. Sometimes people who don't feel heard interrupt all the time. Sometimes people who don't feel heard believe they're hearing other people, but other people will say, I don't feel heard by you. I don't feel respected by you. I don't feel like you know me or care about me. If you hear anything like that, it's just because there's some aspect of the two of you not knowing how to hear each other and not knowing how to communicate with each other. That's it. It's just skill building, and we work on that. But in the process of that, it's also developing confidence to be able to practice those skills, right? To be able to develop the self-worth and self-deserving. And also, like I have clients who are super confident, but sometimes when we're super confident, we'll never question ourselves because we're just right. And so then there's ways of being that are really messing things up. It's really shutting people down. It's making our team not behave the way that we'd like, not keeping people, all kinds of different consequences. So just know that you can break out of that. You can make these changes. The other thing is to allow yourself the opportunity to notice. Like I've had clients who think, well, I'm just being direct. And so you want to take a look at how are you landing? How is your communication landing over there? The same I was mentioning to you. If you're being abrupt and rude and direct with yourself, you're not being kind, right? You're shoving your ideas, you're shoving your thoughts at somebody, even to yourself. Then you might think, well, it works. It gets me going. Well, yeah, but so could being kind. So could being supportive. So why get going in a way that actually diminishes the human spirit versus getting going that uplifts the human spirit, that has you feel strong and powerful versus pushed and gotta go. One is like, yeah, and passion and joy. And the other is push, 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 tired, drained, kind of angry. You don't need that. You don't have to have that. You don't deserve that. You deserve compassion. You deserve passion. You deserve, period. And others around you deserve. So find ways, get the support to find the ways to bring that passion into your life and into others, right? Now, you want to allow yourself also to see what you're saying yes to. Now, you might be saying yes to other people, but you might just be saying yes to, I got to do this and I got to do that and I got to do this. And now there's this thing and now there's that thing and now there's this thing. I have to tell you that one I'm guilty of, because I have an experience that I can do all this stuff and it's only going to take this amount of time. When in actuality, it's going to take this amount of time. And so I have to be very mindful of that on a consistent basis, because my mind, I do have like ADHD and attention issues, but also a little bit of not quite reality in believing I can get all these things done in this amount of time. And some of it I can, totally. But taking on too many things is going to stretch you thin. So you want to notice what you're saying yes to and give yourself an extended amount of time. If you think it's going to take this amount of time, Give yourself this amount of time. Then that can help you to see, oh, yeah, no, I'm not going to be able to do that. And allow yourself to notice if you feel guilty or you feel bad or you feel ashamed or you feel like you're not good enough or whatever it is when you say no. Take a look at what's going on there. So these are some different tips that will help you to be able to take a look at where you might be limiting yourself, where you might be trying to be perfect, where you might be trying to please others or pleasing yourself in ways that aren't healthy, right? And the biggest thing is take a look at these things that we're talking about and don't take it personally. This is just like, if this is a way that didn't work, then we try this way. It's not personal. It just doesn't work. It's worked for a little while, or something about it worked. Keep what works and shift into what doesn't work without judgment, without shame, without guilt, without whatever, and being able to understand the emotions and how to work through them, because it's easy enough for me to tell you that, but if you don't know how, it's not going to just happen. So learning, how do I do that with my emotions? How do I not take things personally? How do I stop saying yes to everything or stop saying no to everything? How do I stop trying to be perfect? I want to stop. I want to do it different. I want to hear my partner, whether it's personally or business. I want to listen to my clients differently. I don't know how. So learn how. Get connected. This is what I teach my clients. I teach them how, step-by-step blueprints. It's not just going to happen because you say so. People say statements like, oh, just step into it. You're going to figure out the how. Bleepity bleep bleep bleep. Is all I have to say to that. The how isn't just going to pop into my head. The how is because I'm asking the question. I'm reaching out. I'm looking at things. I'm checking in. And for me, my learning style is I also need to learn from other people, right? I need to learn from other mistakes. I don't want to make all the mistakes myself. And so the same thing goes for any human being. The human mind needs to learn. It needs to have new skills, new ideas, new stimulation to understand these ways. Because if we keep trying to handle these ways, the same ways, we're going to keep getting the same results. And actually, it might get a little bit worse because now we're kind of fed up and tired and drained from the old ways. So the learning how, getting help from someone who can teach you the how, it's not just going to pop into your head, is essential. So get that. And get that there's nothing wrong with you that you don't know the how yet. I didn't know algebra till I had someone teach it to me. Didn't know science till I had someone teach it to me. Yeah, there was stuff I could look in books and stuff, but guess what? Someone else wrote that book. It wasn't me. I had to learn from somebody. Maybe not engaging face to face. Maybe it's through a book. Maybe it's through a webinar. Maybe it's through some other trainings. I still learned it from someone else. Just like you have someone who comes in and fixes something in your home and you do what you do to help other people, whatever it is that you're doing, we are each creating these networks of support. It's just how it works. So allow yourself to see that there's nothing wrong with the fact of if you don't know how to do it right now, you just didn't learn yet. That's it. Or you've learned some things, but you haven't learned the next steps. And we want to keep growing, right? We want to keep pruning the garden. We want to keep getting it new fertilizer. We want to keep getting it new, beautiful seeds and new growing, right? So allow yourself to know those things. Allow yourself to know you deserve it. Allow yourself to speak differently into your life, taking care of you in a brand new way. And that's what I wanted to share with you today, because as you do that, you are going to be allowing yourself to discover your unique strengths and talents, right? You're going to be speaking into your life, looking at new ways to let yourself grow and thrive. You're going to be changing your mindset into developing and growing. And you'll also be able to take a look, are you, moving toward what you want? Or are you moving away from fears? Are you moving away from the stuff that is more about, I need to work because I don't want to be poor, versus I want to work because I want to have enough to make a difference in the world. I want to make enough money and so I can have more fun. So there's moving towards something in joy or moving away from something in fear. And I have to tell you, my basics is moving away from something. So I take whichever one and use it to help me grow and thrive. So neither one is bad, but I'm definitely shifting from the fear-based experience to the, I want that. Yeah, because I want that, not because I wanted to not get that. It's just about shifting. I am always transparent, telling you guys I am learning and growing all the time. That's what we're here for. And also, as you're doing this, you're dropping your self-doubt. You're stepping into your deserving. You're growing your confidence. You're creating better connections with your relationships. You're allowing your community to thrive as you're stepping into more healthy relationships because you're able to see how the red flags of the subconscious mind are getting in your way and having you choose the same problems over and over again without meaning to. You don't mean to. It's things that are happening on a subconscious level. But when you have someone to work with you who understands that, you guys can pull it from the subconscious based on the results that you see. It's not like you're pulling stuff out like, what's this, huh? No, you're looking at your results and asking questions around those results. And then being able to see, oh, okay, so I can see how I was doing that. That's it. That's how getting into our subconscious thinking works. It's not so scary. It's not so frightening. It's not so terrible. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with other people that get on your last nerves either. There's just growing that they get to do. All right, you guys. My little alarm is going to go off to remind us. I'm going to be in Clubhouse in just a little bit, going over a bit more mindset reset as we read over Jesus Calling. And we read over today is the 12th. So please do share this. Go down, like it, share it with your page if you have a page, share it with your group if you have a group. Help people to understand that there's nothing wrong with them and they get to ask for what they want. They get to be able to see they can make a difference, that their words matter, that their desires matter, that they are amazing. Know that you are loved. Know that you're cared for. Know that your voice matters. And know that you're invited to Clubhouse. Bring it in, you guys. Know that you are loved and appreciated. You take care of you. I will see you next week. If you have any questions or thoughts, let me know. If you have a particular challenge, whether it's with work or at home or just anything that you're thinking about, let me know, because that actually drives questions that I answer in each live Wednesday. I'll talk to you soon. You take care of yourself. Bye for now.